I'm JP Tuesday.
And I'm Kiki Canon. We've been Disney fans our entire lives. And now, as childless adults, we're undertaking a journey through the media that shaped our lives.
Trying to find out if what made them special is still there.
We are
Rewatching the Magic.
Hi, Kiki.
Hi, Tuesday. You sound really good today, Tuesday.
I know, we got new stuff.
Yeah, we got a bit of an upgrade, thanks to a very kind listener who decided that they wanted to hear us a little bit better, I guess. So here they are getting their wish. We got a little bit of an upgrade in equipment, and we cannot thank that person enough. Thank you so much for your generous gift. It absolutely floored the both of us. We really don't know what to say in response other than just thank you so much.
Above and beyond. Maybe we should do a request from that person or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but at the very least, they will always be foremost in our heart as a very kind and generous listener who helped us when we were starting out.
Yeah, when we become a big podcast making all that sweet Patreon money, we'll cut them a check.
And that'll happen precisely the 32nd of never. So, anyway, thanks so much, and let's get into the episode.
What's the sitch?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, the sitch is we are talking about an average teenage girl who just happens to save the world. Kim Possible, yes. This was a rewatch for me. I was a big fan of Kim Possible back in the early 2000s when it came out. This was a first-time watch for Kiki. So Kiki...
Yeah, first time at all. I had seen a couple of clips. It's like most things. Mm-hmm. You know, we live on the internet now, and there are memes and there are, all kinds of stuff. So I had seen little clips, and I think I'd seen the Naked Mole rap, whatever that song is called, out of context, that somebody had posted a YouTube video of it at some point. But yeah, this other than her name is a pun, and I guess she's a superhero or a secret spy or something. This was kind of my first introduction to the world of Kim Possible. And of course, this episode requested by last week's guest, Sydney.
Hi, Sydney.
Hi, Sydney. Yeah, so this was an interesting one for me because I always like seeing new things. Mm-hmm. And being and especially if there's something in the cultural zeitgeist I haven't seen. It's always kind of interesting for me to be the last one through the door to be hi, I made it to the party. Where is everybody? And they're we were doing this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is an 18-year-old show now. I just thought about that.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm still thinking of it as the new hotness on the Disney Channel, and I am 18 years behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well.
So let's get into some of the characters. You have the title character herself, Kim Possible, voiced by Christy Carlson Romano. Most Disney Channel fans know her as Ren Stevens on the Disney Channel show Even Stevens. I never saw it.
Yeah, I don't. I have no idea. I mean, I've heard of Even Stevens, but I couldn't tell you anything about it.
All I know is that it started a very young Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
I don't even think I knew that about it.
Shia LaBeouf actually played Christy Carlson Romano's younger brother on the show.
Oh, okay.
So yes. So we talked about Kim. She is a cheerleader at high school. She is a top student, and she also saves the world on a weekly basis and somehow has time to do all of that and just be perfect in every way, which I could see some people not liking the show on that regard. that she tends to be a little too perfect, but I never really was part of the slice of life parts of the show. Of the action parts over, it's got me.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm glad I'm not the only person that thought that, because I'm gonna go ahead and admit it right off the bat. I thought that really hard. I was like, does she have like anything interesting about her character? And I'm not like necessarily saying it's a boring character, but like, I really like characters that are like, well, they're really good, except they, they're a little lazy, or they make bad jokes all the time, or, they've got some kind of
Quirk.
Not even flaw, but some kind of quirk. And in the episodes we watched, and we by far did not do like an exhaustive run through. I've seen 5 episodes of the show total.
Yeah, I picked 5 episodes that I thought at least told a cohesive story within the 4-season show, so we can try to mostly get through the characters as they interact with each other. So, but
yeah, I felt the episodes you picked were like a fine introduction to the characters, but I will fully admit that there may be nuance on some of this stuff that I will miss, because these are the only 5 episodes I've seen, the ones we're going to talk about today. So keep that in mind, that there's, I'm sure that like any super fans listening might go like, yeah, but in season whatever she did this, and I'm sorry, I haven't seen that episode. I am doing today's episode based on the 5 I have seen, and whatever Tuesday hops in with to give a little flavor text.
So Kim is the perfect kid in every way, and I could see how, again, someone could be turned off by it, but that's the character.
At least also I noticed kind of at least in like the season 1 episodes, I think it got mitigated a little bit as we moved through the series on this one, but is she a little bit of a jerk to her friend sidekick dude?
Kind of. It's like whenever he does something that kind of overshadows her, she kind of gets irritated about it, because again, Kim Possible can do anything. So when there's someone who is doing something better than her, she tends not to like that.
Yeah, I guess you could call that a flaw, but that's something I would expect more in like a supervillain rather than a, like the main character of a show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, overall, I can see why people would be into this character as like an aspirational thing. Like, I want to grow up and be her because she's good at all the things, and she's popular, and she does the cheerleading, and she does... I got kind of like a less nuanced Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of...
This is definitely inspired by Buffy the Vampire Slayer, especially with the cheerleader that saves the world motif, at least for the original movie.
Do we ever find out who she saves the world for? Because if that was in any of the episodes I watched, I missed that.
She just does it because, again, if you watch through the show, she doesn't work for any organization. She's just doing it because they ask her for help, and she helps.
So, like, one day she just woke up and was like, I'm going to get a computer guy and a dude to be a jerk to, and I'm just going to go around fighting villains because I'm, like, 14 or whatever, and that's just what we do now?
We talked about, we mentioned a little bit of it, the movie Sitch in Time. You kind of go back to where it all started. She sets up a website just to kind of do some odd jobs to earn some money, and international group kind of ends up calling on her help because they need some help from some bad guy terrorists, and she goes, well, I said I can do anything, so I'm going to do it. And there you are.
I cannot imagine the level of desperation that you'd be like, she's 14, she's a cheerleader, and she has no other applicable skills that we know of, but let's get her to save the world from terrorists. But you know what? The year is 2020, and I can believe anything at this point.
Right now, yeah. So let's move on from Kim. Let's talk about her best friend, her BFF, her sidekick, Ron Stopple, voiced by the amazing Will Friedle, who some might know him as Eric Matthews from Boy Meets World. I prefer to see him as Terry McGinnis from Batman Beyond.
I like both of those characters. So, you know, either one, both is good.
So again, another Disney kid, if you want to count Boy Meets World as a Disney series.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't that on ABC? So
Yeah, it was on ABC.
Yeah.
Ron, let's talk a little bit. Ron is a goof. Again, while Kim Possible is perfect at everything, Ron is kind of not.
I liked Ron a lot more than I liked Kim. Because he was at least a relatable character.
Mm-hmm.
Who have you ever known that is like Kim?
No, not.
Maybe that girl that you thought had it all together in high school, and you were mad because either she wouldn't date you or she like bullied you or something. You know, it's like it's that kind of unattainable girl to me, and I didn't know anybody like that. That's not part of my brain, I guess. But I knew a lot of kids that that seems like a person I knew in high school or now even.
Yeah. I mean, he tries. He has a very good heart, and he may not be good at everything, but he's always sticking by his pal Kim's side, KP as he calls her.
Yeah.
And these two have known each other within the series since kindergarten. They met each other in kindergarten, became best friends, and that's why he always sticks by her. It's like they've been best friends since they were kids, and they're going to be best friends forever.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of respect that kind of loyalty in a friendship. You know, I mean, there's limits, of course. There should always be limits, but I do respect that. Anybody that can keep up a friendship that long. I think that's easier though in childhood than it is in adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
I think going from kindergarten to high school is kind of common for a lot of people, and then high school to question mark is a little bit more difficult for most people.
And especially those two definitely run in two different social circles, and they still have that. There's the trope of high school. Once the kid becomes popular, they completely forget about all of their non-popular friends and make new popular friends. And this doesn't happen between those two.
Yeah, I mean, I will give Kim that much respect in that at least she still seems to want to hang around him because she likes being around him.
Yeah.
And yes, I have read that eventually he becomes her boyfriend. I did not watch any of those episodes. So,
no, yeah.
I'm just basing it on the friendship I saw.
Yeah, they do get together in the final season, and it's a nice, cute friendship. It's a nice, cute relationship. Like, it's clear that the two, are ready to take that friendship into a relationship, and it works for them. And again, Ron is always there for her. His catchphrase "Booyah" and his trademark meal du jour, the nacho.
Yeah, the nacho sounded amazing. And in fact, I think I'm going to try to recreate it for dinner tonight when we are done with this recording.
There is actually a video that came out a couple of months ago with Christy Romano and Will Friedle. They actually made a real life nacho.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like binging with Babish or something. 'Cause that sounds like something he would do. It would be like, let's create the nacho from.
No, yeah. So hey, if you're going to have them, I mean, then they're still friends. The voice actors are still friends to this day, and it's all cool.
Oh,
but
that's nice.
Yeah, let's talk about the third member of the team, the unsung hero of this team. I'm talking about Rufus the Naked Mole Rat, voiced by Nancy Cartwright, aka Bart Simpson.
I was going to say, I feel kind of bad for Nancy Cartwright because has she ever voiced a female? Like, even when she's the cute pet sidekick, it's a dude,
Yeah.
There is a bit of charm to Rufus. I like the fact that they went for Naked Mole Rat as a pet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit quirky and off kilter, and you don't. see it.
Go ahead. It works for Ron, because Ron's kind of weird, so he'll want a weird pet.
Yeah, and having played as much Fallout as I have, I guess there is for those who are not familiar with the Fallout series, there is basically a mutated version of a naked mole rat that you fight quite frequently. So, it was like, oh, what if Fallout but cute, and voiced by Bart Simpson.
Yeah, and Rufus is definitely smarter than your average rodent. Pretty much talking now almost in half sentences throughout the whole series.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised how much it actually talked. I thought we were going to get like a Frank Welker sort of thing where it was just kind of like, like the whole time. But then like Rufus was like, yeah, I can do that. And I'm like, okay, I guess you can talk. Do they know you can talk? They don't seem to know you can talk. So I was never quite sure. I think it's a very much a Stewie Griffin kind of thing. Like sometimes they almost seemed like they understood Rufus, but most of the time they didn't.
When Ron invents the Nako, Rufus right there. Nako.
Yeah, I mean, it was very, very strange to me on like what the rules of the universe were, but I can roll with it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the fourth member of the team, Wade Load. Yes, that's his name. It's Wade Load. Voiced by Taj Mowry, was at the time on the TV show Smart Guy on Disney Channel, but is also known as the younger brother of Tia and Tamara Mowry.
Yeah, and honestly, I had seen him as like in commercials for Smart Guy.
Yeah.
But I don't really know any more about him. I also really don't know that much about his sisters, as I never watched their show growing up either. So,
So Wade is a 10-year-old genius, graduated college at 10. And he's also the webmaster for Kim's website, arranges rides for him, tells him about all of the bad guys and what they're doing, and is just Deus Ex Machina, the character.
He's the guy in the chair.
Yeah, he's the guy in the chair. He literally is the guy in the chair. In
Yeah,
his room.
I don't think there's any really other way to describe him, as every episode I watched, he was just the guy in the chair.
And up until like season 4, he never shows up in life. He's just always in his room, always on his computer, always drinking his soda.
Yeah, I got kind of a the new Invader Zim movie that was on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I got kind of that feeling at the beginning where the kid doesn't leave his house for like 4 years or something.
Well, man, he already graduated college. There's not much else he can do. Might as well help save the world from the comfort of his own home.
You know what? If there is anything worth doing right now, it is worth doing from the comfort of your own home.
Yes.
Wade Load, far a man outside of his own time, I feel. A visionary who was teaching us how to react.
And let's go into the 2 of the 5 episodes we saw. The main villains most of the main villains of the series would be the first being Dr. Draken, voiced on. Most people know him as the voice of Bender on Futurama.
Also, Jake the dog. You know that because it's the exact same voice. He uses the exact same voice for Bender or Jake the dog. Yes. John DiMaggio is not a one-trick pony. I do not want to give that thing. I have the most respect for him, and in fact have had some hilarious Twitter interactions between him and his lovely, lovely wife, who is also a voice actor, Kate Miller. The two of them are awesome, and there have been occasions where the three of us have found ourselves goofing off on Twitter. I absolutely love John DiMaggio. I love his whole career. I love everything about him. I love the if you are like me and you kind of dig on voice actors, you have to go watch his documentary, I Know That Voice. It is probably the gold standard right now of documentaries about voice actors. There are a couple, but that one is kind of everybody currently in the game, and a lot of nods to people who have unfortunately passed since they made it, or who had passed even before they made it. You know, they give a lot of shout outs to like Mel Blanc and, you know, a lot of people who kind of really started the profession. So John DiMaggio, cool dude. I approve.
So yeah, Dr. Draken, Kim's arch nemesis and the most frequent enemy in the show, the blue-skinned mad scientist takes the world, and he obviously he doesn't do that. His plans are really goofy, even though he thinks they're brilliant and the best ever. And he's always followed by Kim, and then he goes with, "You think you're all that, Kim Possible, but you're not." You know, it's like, it's very weird having this grown man constantly being foiled by this teenage girl, and I think that's kind of the part of the what so many people liked about the show. You know, here's this teenage girl, and he just takes care of mad scientists every week.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, not the first time we've seen this. No. The other thing the character reminded me of is, what if Penny from Inspector Gadget had like a life, and friends and stuff, and
was the actual star of the show,
and was given the headlining role like she should have been. A fun side note, I always wanted the tech that Penny had. I wanted that communicator watch, and I wanted that book that had like everything inside of it. And the other day I was sitting reading something on my tablet, and my smartwatch went off telling me I had a phone call. And suddenly I realized, holy crap, I am Penny from Inspector Gadget. I have all the stuff.
You even have the dog.
I even have the dog. Unfortunately, I do not have like a cool communicator that like translates for the dog. We're working on it. He's working on his supervillain foiling skills.
So yes, Dr. Draken, great, very funny. Most of the comedy comes from Dr. Draken in the series.
Yeah.
And his partner, his associate, sidekick, whatever you want to call it, Shigo, voiced by Nicole Sullivan, who at the time was on Mad TV.
I actually was a big fan of Nicole Sullivan and a big fan of Mad TV. I really loved Mad TV when it was on. And so she pops up every now and then, and she's got a respectable voice acting career going for her, but she shows up a couple of times on Family Guy. I know that I've seen her in, and so that is always fun for me when she shows up. And I was surprised to hear her here because I didn't know she was in this, but her voice is pretty recognizable if you know what you're doing. So I immediately was like, that sounds like Nicole Sullivan. And I looked it up, and it was.
Yeah, and much like another character of the era, like Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was created specifically for Arlene Sorkin to voice her. Shigo was created just for Nicole Sullivan to voice her.
Yeah, and it works very well. I really like her portrayal of the character. It was great.
And one of the few times, at least of they're recording their voices, John DiMaggio and Nicole Sullivan actually recorded all of their voices together, which actually helps in their dynamic and actually cemented their dynamic of being very snarky to each other.
Yeah.
So just imagine a recording studio. There's John DiMaggio, there's Nicole Sullivan, and they're just ripping on each other. And you're just sitting there, record that. Are we recording this? We'll write it into the episode. We'll make it happen.
Let's talk about a character that shows up in a couple of the episodes we're going to talk about, because that was a voice that I was immediately like, well, let's talk about two of them because they're a joint set here, but both of the possible parents,
Yeah, well,
really shocked me when I heard them speak, because I immediately recognized both voices, and boy, that's a get. First of all, Gary Cole.
Yeah.
I love any excuse to talk about Gary Cole.
Mr. Dr. Possible, James Timothy Possible.
Yes. And probably best known to audiences everywhere as Bill Lumbergh from Office Space. I really wanted him to like turn to Kim and be like, so if you could get to saving the world for me, that'd be really great. Like,
well, Kim, I'll let you go out and save the world. Can you be back before midnight? That'd be great. It's a school night.
Yeah. But the thing that I love him for even more is he's Harvey Birdman. Come on. How do you not love Gary Cole? Harvey Birdman, come on.
We got Harvey Birdman and Bender in this show. We got Adult Swim in this thing.
Yeah, and I am such a like monstrous Adult Swim fangirl. It doesn't really come up much in this context, but I am like, Adult Swim is like, you know, oxygen or something to me. But it's always fun to immediately go like, oh, I'm gonna have a good time here because that actor is gonna make this. And speaking of which, he's got a partner in crime on this.
Mrs. Dr. Possible, Dr. Ann Possible, Jean Smart.
Jean Smart, come on. This woman was my childhood because, you know, I grew up in Georgia. It's set in Georgia, although much more urban setting in Georgia than I was in. You know, I can still quote and that is the night that the lights went out in Georgia speech. But yeah, I love Jean Smart, and of course the coolest thing she has done recently is that she got to play Silk Spectre in the recent HBO Watchmen series. And she did a brilliant job at it. The series has its problems, but the actors, for the most part, are really, really great. The main character in that one has an Adult Swim connection because it's Regina King, who was the voice of both Huey and Riley in the Boondocks. So, you know. But she does an amazing job there too. So it's good. I had been wondering where Jean Smart had gone, and then she showed up in Watchmen, and now I get to talk about her on the podcast for a little bit. She's such a great actress, and she's doing a lot of dramatic work right now, which I like. But this was a good role for her because it was a nice, you know, happy character, because I've kind of gotten used to her now as being, you know, kind of dark in a lot of the stuff she's doing, but she's a great comedic actor, and I was so happy to hear her.
Yeah, just playing Kim's mom, and just like just you know the one episode we watched where Kim is like kind of venting her problems, and Kim is like, and her mom's like, "Yeah, I'm in brain surgery right now, kid."
Yeah, that was a great little moment where she's like, "Mom, do you have me on speakerphone?" She's like, "Well, you know, I'm elbow deep in some dude's brain, so maybe later."
Yes, and that is the crux of Kim, is that her father's a rocket scientist, her mother's a brain surgeon. So again, that also adds to the perfection of Kim Possible.
Okay, but here's my thing though. And granted, I've only seen 5 episodes, but does her dad do like anything correct?
No.
No, I mean seriously, like her mom seems to be like, she's like, I am a brain surgeon, or whatever she is, and she seems good at her job. Like we don't hear people in the background screaming like, "Oh God, we lost him!" Like she seems to be competent at her profession. But anytime we see the dad in these episodes trying to do science, it does not science good.
No.
He does not seem like a person who can science good. Is all I'm gonna say.
First, in one of the episodes, he accidentally sets up a rocket.
Yeah, and immediately gets a phone call from like a dude on the other side of the planet, like, did you just launch something accidentally?
Again.
Again. Yeah, and then like her brothers are like blowing up things. And...
Yes, Kim's brothers, Jim and Tim Possible, or she calls them the Tweebs, twin Dweebs. We didn't really get enough of them in these episodes that we did watch, but they do in other episodes we have a little bit of a time to shine. But yeah, they seem to have inherited their father's
inability
science
to do things.
Yeah, but they do have more of a science background. They're trying to be like their dad and developing their own rockets and stuff and their own inventions.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and step out on a limb there and say that all of Kim's talents come from her mother,
as well as their looks, especially the red hair.
Yeah, there is that. So let's. Are we done with voice actors? Because I think we are.
Yeah, I think we're done with the main characters.
Except for a couple of guest stars in various episodes.
Yeah,
I think
and we'll get to them as we get to the respective episodes. The first episode I had Kiki watch. We are going by the Disney Plus episode order. So if you have a different episode order, I'm sorry. So the first episode we watched was Season 1, Episode 6, Bueno Nacho. In this episode, Kim gets a job at the Mexican restaurant Bueno Nacho to earn money to buy a designer jacket. And she drags Ron into the job so she won't do it alone. But in this episode, this is what we talked about before, Ron's better at the job than Kim is, which Kim kind of gets frustrated at. Meanwhile, Dr. Draken steals a laser and plans to melt the state of Wisconsin with it. Melted cheese state. And that and nacho cheese.
Yeah, before we get into the episode proper, can we talk about the one thing that kind of I'm not going to say it bugged me so much as I just went like, oh wow, that did not age as well as they would have liked, I'm sure.
What? Which one we're talking?
Oh my goodness, this theme song.
Oh, the theme song! The theme song's awesome! Call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
If I'd have heard it in 2002, I would have probably been like, this song is awesome! But I heard it in 2020, and this song is really 2002.
Yeah.
This song is like, she's cool. She has a cell phone. Have we mentioned she has a cell phone? Cell phones are cool. They're the new hotness. She must be rich because she has a cell phone. I mean, like, has anybody said beep me in like maybe 6 months after they wrote this song? Beep me was already like.
Well, the theme song also mentioned pages.
Yeah,
if you want
exactly.
To page me if it's okay.
Which by 2002 was already not where it was technology-wise. Like, that was already kind of a throwback.
Yeah, let's talk about the special star in this episode. That will be Eddie Deason playing Ned, the manager of Bueno Nacho.
I rather liked this character because he was 1000% done with these idiots the second that he met them. And I was like, same.
Eddie
Same.
Deason, of course, many people know him as the voice of Mandark on Dexter's Laboratory, or as Eugene in Grease.
Yeah.
So-
I try to think of Grease as little as possible.
So yes, just imagine Mandark grew up, instead of taking over the world, he's now the regional manager of a fast food chain. Which sounds like something that would happen to Mandark.
Again, I don't get the reference.
Oh boy, Dexter's Lab. We got to get there somewhere. It's not Disney though. It's not Disney though, but
Yeah. Yay, I get to miss one and remain ignorant.
so yeah. If you watch the opening scene of this episode, a lot of the intro comes from this one episode.
Yeah.
The
I
them
can see
and
that.
them in the snowmobile blowing up and all the stuff. It's this. Even though it is the 6th episode in the series, from what I've been able to find out, this was actually the 2nd episode produced. So this was pretty early in the series. So to me, this is a good starting point for someone who wants to know about Kim Possible. And we kind of get everything that we kind of want to know about these characters in this episode. We find out about Wade. We find out about, Kim being a perfectionist. We find out about Ron kind of being a goof, and, Draken and Shigo's relationship. And of course, in this episode, Ron invents the nacho by putting nachos into his taco.
Which actually proves that Ron was way ahead of his time, because that was long before we had the Doritos taco at Taco Bell.
Yes. We need to cut a check to Disney for that, apparently.
I mean, they were eventually forced to cut a check to the guy who actually, did invent the thing and give them the idea. But whether or not he got it from the idea of the nacho, I will never know. I liked everything about this episode, except the part where they were fighting evil.
So you like more of the slice of life stuff versus the superhero stuff?
Yeah, because I thought it felt a little more. I mean, I hesitate to use the word real, but it felt more relatable and interesting because, the stuff with the supervillain is not all one note. I don't want to say that. Throughout the episodes I watched, he's got varied plans and all that kind of stuff. But in this episode, it seems like that Draken just stood in the background, and most of the fight scenes and stuff were just two girls yammering about a coat and what was fashionable this season, which, for anyone who's met me, knows that is not where I am as a person. So there was nothing I could relate to. There's oh, you want an overpriced jacket because you think that the one you bought 6 months ago isn't fashionable anymore. Nope, I cannot relate to this. This is not any reason for either plot or fight. Come back to me when you have something interesting. I liked the cheese bit. When they finally got around to the actual villain doing something, and it wasn't just fighting over a coat, that was more interesting. Mm-hmm. To me personally, I liked that plan though, and I liked that his plan was foiled by the idea of, he assumed, like I think all of us would assume, that if you're going to build a giant building of cheese, it's going to be a replica of cheese, or at the very least maybe the outer layer is made of cheese, but you would have a legit structure under there. And I like that the idea is that he got foiled by Wisconsin being weird enough to actually build an entire building solely out of cheese.
Well, you actually visited Wisconsin once, so what was that?
More than once.
Yeah.
No, I've spent a little time in Wisconsin. But I like the idea of that the villain is like, wait, even I'm not dumb enough to not put like an actual structure inside of a building. Like there should be steel supports or something in here.
And of course, you have the tour guide, which I'm pretty sure is also Nicole Sullivan.
Oh, it is definitely Nicole Sullivan. Yeah, that's absolutely her.
Doing the trademark, Wisconsin accent, don't you know?
Yeah. I love her going like, no, many people think that it would just be like, the outside is covered with cheese. And I want to go like, you know why everybody thinks that? Because that would be the smart thing to do in this situation. If you didn't want your entire building to melt like it is doing now. Maybe when you rebuild this tourist trap, you will think about that.
And I'm pretty sure the character dies in this episode because she gets drowned in melted cheese.
Yeah, that very much looked like a death because she goes under the melted cheese and she never surfaces again that we see.
No.
So unless she shows up in another episode where they're like, "Hey, weren't you that tour guide at the cheese place we melted?" Then I'm saying that yeah, she totally dead. Speaking of things that are probably totally dead because of this episode. Ron just like turns a laser on a bunch of henchmen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're definitely dead. Like you just murdered a bunch of people.
But he's just randomly pressing buttons just to.
I know, but like it's a laser, dude. Like you had like zero reaction to that. And considering that thing can melt cheese instantly, I'm pretty sure they at least have like very horrific third-degree burns or something.
Yeah, it's a cartoon. They're fine. No blood, no, they're fine.
They're fine. They're henchmen. Who cares?
They're faceless henchmen. They don't have characters. They don't have names.
Stop apologizing to the henchmen.
The big thing, like we said before, Ron becomes very astute, very good at working at Bueno Nacho to the point where only after a few days he is promoted to manager.
Mostly because he invented the Naco, it seems. But also he's just really good. Like he immediately knows how to roll a burrito and yeah.
So yeah, and it's like he gets significant money from inventing the Naco and a plush job that he probably could have rode for the rest of his life. And he gave it all up just to save Kim.
Yeah, I rethought it as I saw their relationship later, but this being the first episode I'd ever seen in this series, I was like, dude, you are not right in the head. Like, I'm not saying that is most people's dream job, but, that is a solid job right there, my dude. And you just got a major payout, and if you wanted to go that route, you could probably get some other interesting pseudo-Mexican foods. So maybe don't throw that away because the girl who treats you like crap in this episode wants a coat. I don't know. It was very. I was immediately like, this kid needs to have some priorities in life, and I'm not saying that work or money really should ever be your priority, but I don't know, dude. Like, I didn't see where he won in that situation.
It's part of that loyalty, he's, that's his best friend, and he's got to stick by his best friend.
Yeah, like I said, limits, though. Come on, draw a line somewhere. And maybe, like, the one thing you've ever been remarkably good at in your entire life might be a line you want to consider drawing, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but then, let's say Kim doesn't make it out of there, and Wisconsin is, and she doesn't, since she's, like, kind of handcuffed, she doesn't make it out of the melted cheese building, Ron's going to have that over his head.
Yeah, but at that point, isn't it kind of like her fault for walking into that situation? I don't know.
But as an episode, what was your thought of? This is the first episode of Kim Possible you've seen.
I'm
Okay.
gonna say that it was all right, but it wasn't an immediate, like, I have to immediately watch every other episode of this show. So I was like, well, I'll give it a chance. This is still a very early episode. Maybe they hadn't quite gotten their stride yet.
Mhm.
So that was kind of where I was at there. I saw promise. I really liked all the stuff with Ron and the Nako and the, dynamic of him coming into his own in this job and stuff. I really liked the parents.
Mhm.
The villain, once he got to the cheese thing, was more interesting to me. I was not sold on Chigo at all from this episode. Later on, you'll kind of see that might change a little bit, but yeah, as a first episode, it was all right. Like, it kind of told me everything I needed to know. Like, okay, she fights supervillains, and that's a supervillain, and she's got a friend, But I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite of the ones we watched.
Okay. I do like the fact that despite having two very prominent doctors as her parents, they force her to get a job instead of just buying it. They could obviously afford it, but they just straight up say, get a job.
Well, that's good. And a girl like Kim, even though she's the rest of her life seems really cushy and privileged and not necessarily grounded in the real world. So
they have what looks to be a very expensive house in like the suburbs. Again, this is a rocket scientist and a brain surgeon. That's money right there.
Yeah, and it doesn't just look like a house. This thing looks like they're living in a Frank Lloyd Wright house. Like, that is exactly where the design of that house came from. Like, I immediately saw it and was like, oh, okay, they want to say they're that kind of family. All right. So yeah, I mean, they've obviously got money. They've obviously got position. She's very popular and well liked at school. She's cute. She's like conventionally attractive in all the, kind of boring ways. So she's got a lot going for her there that might disconnect her from the reality of other people's lives. So I'm kind of glad that her parents were trying to keep her grounded enough to be like, no, if you want a ridiculously expensive jacket that nobody needs and you will apparently throw away in a couple of months anyway, then yeah.
And of course, the gag at the end, Ron gets her the jacket, and there's Ned with the jacket, and now Kim doesn't want it anymore because Nerd is wearing it. It's not cool anymore.
Yeah, which absolutely made me kind of hate her. I'm not kidding. Like, the ending of that episode where they were both like, ew, we don't want to wear it now because it has, like,
nerd germs.
Poor nerd germs on it or whatever. And I was like, ugh, it's everything I hate about fashion,
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew those kind of, that brought me back to high school because I knew those kind of people. It'd be like, oh, you're wearing that kind of barrette. That was last week's barrette. Like, we've moved on. You're obviously not, it's like, who cares? It's a barrette. None of this is going to matter in a year.
Okay, I'm going to say this right now before I completely forget about it. The two most things about this whole series that I find the most unbelievable, and maybe I'm the only one on this one. Number one, Ron gets to carry his pet around in school, and no one says anything about it. Two, he gets to wear a crop top in school, and no one says anything about it.
Yeah, and Honestly, both of those things, I'm kind of like, you know what, I'd be fine with it.
Maybe they get a pass because they saved the world.
Yeah, who knows? Dress codes are ridiculous. Stop using them to be sexist and racist. Don't do it. It's bad. Stop. And you know, maybe well-behaved animals should be allowed more places. That's all I'm gonna say. But that's me liking animals more than people there. Very much I would rather go eat dinner in a restaurant surrounded by a bunch of well-behaved dogs than a bunch of humans at this point.
All right, so let's move on to the second episode we saw in this one. Season 1, Episode 9, Attack of the Killer BBs. Ron is forced to get an extracurricular activity at school, so he decides to join Kim on the cheerleading team as the school mascot, much to Kim's dismay. Meanwhile, Dr. Draken plots revenge on his old college friends with his team of robot women. One happens to be Kim's dad.
Okay, you want to know the weird thing about this episode? This is an episode of the Venture Brothers. I'm not lying to you. This is legitimately the plot of an episode of Venture Brothers. A college friend of Dr. Venture fakes his own death to get all of his college buddies, some of whom are superheroes and supervillains and whatever, to come to his funeral, at which point he unleashes an army of female robots that are made to look like a girl that like dumped him in college or something, and he uses them to try to kill his old college buddies. This is an episode of the Venture Brothers, which is like my favorite show ever. So I'm not knocking it. And honestly, the weird thing is I think this episode aired first.
Probably. Is this 2001, 2002?
This is still first season, so like 2002, 2003. And the premiere episode of Venture Brothers didn't show up until 2003. So
about a year, I would say.
Yeah, but this is the kid version of that Venture Brothers episode. And I was watching it and I was like, what year did this come out? Like, I was trying to figure out like where in the parallel development lines this is. And the thing is because I know enough about the production of Venture Brothers, I am absolutely convinced that they had already written that episode and it was just a weird, coincidental thing. But I was watching it and I was like, this is strangely specific to have occurred to two different animation writers. So yeah, it was all right. I'm gonna say I prefer the Venture Brothers episode more.
So let's kind of start with the high school part with Ron joining the team as the mascot and Kim just kind of dismissing. It's another thing of here's Ron trying to do something that I do and I don't like it.
Oh my goodness, you poor girl! Your friend might actually want to spend time with you and have shared interests. That's all I got out of it. I was immediately like, Kim, you're being awful. You're being the worst.
She realizes this in the episode that she's kind of being hard on him. Like, it's like, maybe give him a chance to do something. And even Ron knocks him on it. Hey, you're my friend. At least give me a chance to prove myself.
Yeah, and I was with Ron totally there, and I'm glad that they showed Kim realizing that she wasn't in the right. I'm glad that wasn't the moral of the story. That would have been awful. But I was immediately like, you're supposed to be the main character hero I'm supposed to like in this, and this is how you're treating your best friend. Like, I don't know, if I in high school, if any of my friends had wanted to do the same after school thing I wanted to do, I'd be like, that's great, I will know a person there that will hopefully not make fun of me. You know, this will make it slightly easier than my normal high school experience.
At least Ron is as much of a gentleman to not peep into the cheerleader room.
That was great. That was good. Go, Ron. Yeah, hiding his eyes and hey, yeah, that's.
And they're kind of dogging him for it too. The cheerleaders, like, why is he peeping? Not necessarily peeping in us, but why is he peeping in a gentlemanly way instead of just sticking his head in and whatnot?
Yeah, because he wasn't there to peep. He was just there to be like, hey, I want to go practice now. Like,
yeah.
Let's get to the thing I'm here to do, which I can respect. I like that he had a real skill in masks.
Yeah.
And Hollywood makeup and stuff, which is a bit, that's Mission Impossible. That's.
Yeah.
He
creates this mascot costume and with the Middleton Mad Dog. This is our team, and he actually makes a foaming mouth Mad Dog. It's for a teenager with a probably buy it off the rack movie prop kit. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, I was very impressed by his skill on that, and I was like, that is exactly the kid I would have been friends with.
It's not exactly,
at that age.
It's not exactly gritty, but it works.
Yeah, well, I mean, nothing is gritty. Gritty stands alone, much like the cheese. But I liked that was where he went with it. I liked that they tied it in as like, yes, we are pulling things from all these 60s shows. Was this the episode with all the 60s shows in the background?
No.
That's a different episode.
But
I like that it keeps getting brought back, that they're like, yes, we know that we're doing homages to these shows a lot in a lot of the things we do. Because like I said, this was straight out of Mission Impossible. But
there's a bit of a continuity here because the rocket that Dr. Possible launches is the same rocket he was working on the blueprints on in the previous episode we talked about.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I was just like, oh, well, he must just be a rocket scientist, and he's always working with rockets. I guess there's going to be a rocket in every episode he's in. So
not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah. That's cool. I like continuity. Think better of your. It's better now.
Yeah.
But when we were kids, we've already talked about this. They did not think we had a brain between us.
Yeah. Back in the day, every episode was in its own unique world. The one before it didn't happen. The one after it doesn't happen. It's just this one episode.
Yeah, I liked that finally sometime in our adolescence, somebody was like, that, like, kids are people and they have brains. Like, they're not, fully formed final evolution brains, but they can understand things if we just give them a chance. And
we find out sort of an origin with Draken, Drew Lipsky, as we find out what his real name is.
Yeah.
He's with college. He's with Kim's dad and their friends, and the flashback story that they use is kind of dumb, but it kind of works. Is that they're trying to find dates to this event, and here comes Drew, young Dr. Draken, with robot women for them to date. Something that would be something a scientist would kind of come up with as a last ditch effort. Like, I couldn't get dates for us, so I made us dates.
Yeah, it's very in that kind of stereotypical idea of nerds in the 80s.
Yeah,
and or early 90s.
Well, they specifically say 80s.
Did they? Okay, yeah, I was never quite sure how old her parents were supposed to be in relation to her. So yeah.
Well, there's the picture that Ron sees of Kim's dad with the jacket with the sleeves rolled up.
Well,
and he says that's so 80s. So I assume that was in the 80s. The Miami Vice rolling up the sleeves of the suit jacket thing.
Yeah, the idea of the you know, nerdy science kid just creating a woman was so pervasive in the 80s. Oh.
And they kind of laugh at him because the robots don't work well, and that seems to be the thing that turns him evil is his friends laughing at him, which they do play back in this episode and kind of plays back to Kim is like, you're kind of doing to Ron what we did to Drew, and look what happened to Drew.
Yeah, I do like her going to Ron and being like, hey, you're not going to turn into a supervillain because I'm awful, are you?
Would that help if I did? No.
Yeah.
And the fact that Ron even thinks about it for a second, like, if I did become evil.
Yeah.
There's another episode that kind of plays around with that, but we didn't watch it in this round.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like the idea of, you know, the choices that people make on their path. Which is why when you know, skipping a little ahead, which is why when we find out Shigo's background, I was like, okay, I can respect this as an origin story.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
And that's kind of why I chose these episodes, because yes, we kind of get a sort of an origin of both Dr. Draken and Shigo in these episodes.
Yeah.
So like if his friends hadn't laughed at him when they were in college, Draken might not have become evil. He might not have been all good, but he wouldn't have been evil.
You know, when you're already like, well, the only thing I want from a woman is that, and I might as well build one that won't talk back and will do anything I say. I think you're already on the path to evil there.
And he doesn't even get that right because the robot women turn on him, the BBs as he calls them.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, hey, you built us to be perfect. You're not perfect, therefore we're not going to listen to you anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you know, bravo to him for creating like sexy Skynet, but you know.
Yeah, Shigo not in this episode, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and I think it does kind of hurt Draken in a bit because you kind of want that Draken Shigo relationship in the episode. Though I don't think Shigo would have been on board with the plan that involves making robot women.
Yeah, I would hope not. I did feel like Ron stepped into that a little bit because there's a lot of really good banter with him and Ron in this.
Yeah, those two definitely, throughout the series, those two have great banter.
Yeah, not so much. I never really find his banter with Kim to be that interesting, but his banter with Ron, I like.
It's more generic villain hero banter versus.
You will never stop me. Yes, I will, because I am good, and good is dumb, and also a jerk to her best friend.
Yeah, and you know, the real hero of this episode is Rufus, who figures it out. Because he's the one that figures out, oh, this is Kim's dad in the picture. I have to tell Ron we have to protect Kim's dad.
Yeah, no, Rufus very much smart in that sense. Go Rufus, yes.
And of course, we Ron uses that movie makeup kit to make a perfect mask of Kim's dad to fool Draken into believing that he's Dr. Possible.
Yeah, which I always love that a mask apparently adds several inches of height. Because when they're together, they are not drawn as the same height.
No.
So, I guess Draken was just like, I haven't seen you since college, and I guess I remembered you as taller, but I must have been wrong, you know?
And of course, the news that his old college friend is his rival's father. Like, wait, there could be more than one Possible in the town.
Yeah, I do like Ron going like, it's really not that common a name. They're like the only people I've ever met that have it. Yeah.
And another bit of dating in this episode, the phone book.
Yeah. That is a thing that does not really exist anymore.
Yeah.
You show that to a kid today, they will be very confused. And then they will say, wait, you mean like everybody just used to give their number and address to just like literally anybody who ran across this thing? Like, you're always telling us not to give our numbers and our addresses out to people. What was wrong with you? Is that why there were so many serial killers in the 70s? Because I think maybe that is probably why there were so many serial killers in the 70s.
Probably. So yeah, the in terms of this episode, what was your idea? What was your thought of this episode?
I liked the Venture Brothers episode, but it was really the only thought in my brain. Once again, I liked Ron. I liked the dad. You know, when Dr. Possible showed up, you know, he was interesting. I think a lot of that is just, you know, Gary Cole's going to be interesting to me no matter what he does. But Ron got a lot of great lines, good banter with the villain. It almost felt like Kim didn't even have to show up in this episode at all. I think Ron and Rufus and Dr. Possible kind of just, you know, they did their own thing, and Kim just existed.
Yeah. So, I think that's all we can say about that episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed it better than the first one. I was like, okay, I can kind of see where the show's going now.
Yeah. So let's fast forward. Season 2, episode 10. So now we've had a year of Kim Possible. The team has been together a year. Maybe things will be better in season 2. But there's multiple reasons why I chose this next episode. That would be The Fearless Ferret. And right there in the title is an obvious reason I chose this episode. Kiki, do you want to explain?
Yeah, no. You may think you're hearing a person talk to you in a podcast, but I am actually a giant.
Yes,
giant ferret. No, I'm not a giant ferret. I'm just like a normal size ferret, but I just seem giant because I get a big voice. No, I really like ferrets. I collect ferret things. I am literally wearing a shirt right now that says "Keep Calm and Love Ferrets." So, there you go. Has absolutely nothing to do with it was just the shirt I pulled out of the closet today. But yeah, so immediately when I saw the title, I was like, okay, this will by far be my favorite episode, I'm sure.
And the second, of course, would be the guest star in this episode. That would be Adam West, the late great Adam West in this episode.
Adam West. Sorry.
Nobody messes with Adam Wee.
Nobody messes with Adam Wee.
So let's get to the plot of this episode. Kim and Ron volunteer to help out at the hospital where Kim's mom works. And Ron ends up with a homebound senior named Timothy North. After finding out North's secret, Ron takes on the mantle of superhero, the Fearless Ferret, and which brings out his old foe, White Stripe, who plots revenge for being defeated by the ferret years ago. Meanwhile, Kim finds out that the Fearless Ferret is actually an old TV show from the 60s, and that the actors have deluded themselves into believing it was real.
Yeah, and here's the thing is, like, okay, yeah, that was a cute little twist and everything, but one, it's a world with real superheroes.
Yes.
So when Ron sees it, you're immediately like, well, obviously he heard stories of this hero that used to be in town. And then it makes even less sense to me when they reveal that it's a TV show, because this is a TV show they're having conventions for.
Yes, there's a whole scene where they're going to the Ferret Con.
Yeah, and which I want to go to the Ferret Con, by the way. I mean, yes, please. But the I don't know. It seems weird to me that, like, we had the internet in 2002. It wasn't like it is now, but you could search for things.
Yeah, the whole crux.
Ask Jeeves or something.
The crux being that a new cable channel has shown up that shows old shows from the 60s, and Jim and Tim are entranced with it. there's a parody of Laugh-In in this episode.
Yeah, I like the parody of Laugh-In. There's a parody of Mod Squad. Yeah.
Obvious. And, you know, a 60s superhero played by Adam West.
Yeah.
And that character passes his mantle down to a character played by Will Friedle. I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know who would have thought up this idea. It's very weird. Do not
Obviously, like I said, obviously this is an homage to Batman Beyond. Because, yeah, this whole thing is just, let's get Adam West. We have Will Friedle. Let's make a Batman Beyond parody episode.
Yeah. And honestly, I love the fact that basically the first thing Adam West says in the episode is like, "Oh yeah, come on in. You can clean the bats out of the attic or whatever."
Yeah, that reference right there.
Yeah, it's a good reference.
And they straight up parody the intro to Batman, the 60s Batman show.
Yeah, they did that. You know, I like this. I kind of also wonder about the idea of like a on delivery candy striper. Like, it's just like, don't worry, we'll send a candy striper to your door. I don't remember that being a thing when I was candy striper age. I had a friend who was a candy striper when we were that age, but yeah, I don't know. Adam West is just great in this episode. I love all of his, you know, no, the ferret is serious. No,
Yeah, a nice reference to other portrayals of Batman.
Yeah. And honestly, his own, not his own, but like the Batman Beyond, Batman, where Bruce is very much like, no, everything is serious and dark. Stop having fun, you know.
Yeah.
That is very much the tone of the Batman Beyond version of Bruce.
And for 1 second, he kind of, Will Friedle actually does the Terry McGinnis voice as for that 1 second, and it kind of works.
Yeah. So the thing I love though about it is like him just being so goofy with the suit, like, you know, I'll hit you with the ferret claw or whatever. Like, no, that's the ferret musk or like whatever that is that they're...
Yeah, making fun of the various gadgets that Batman had.
Yeah. I do want to know what the original Wonder Weasel or whatever was like. Like, what was that? Because you have a costume perfectly sized for a naked mole rat, and I'm gonna question that real hard.
And the partner was a weasel, not a ferret.
Well, you know, it's all the Mustelid family there, but yeah, but I'm like, what? You know, did he wander around? I guess he wandered around with an animal sidekick, and
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I
assume that since it is the 60s, it's probably a reference to like Hanna-Barbera cartoons with the animal sidekick.
Yeah, I can see that. I also like the fact that there's like a ferret girl.
Yeah, ferret girl.
As well, in a really bizarrely gendered costume.
Batgirl reference and all that, and
yeah. If I ever had to do like a Kim Possible cosplay, it would just be like that outfit, the ferret outfit. In either just like, you know, Fearless Ferret or Ferret Girl. Either or. I don't really care. The Fearless Ferret one looked comfortable though, because it just looks like a kigurumi. You know, it just looks like feety pajamas. He even says something about like my tights are very loose or whatever, and you get the sense that it's just like pajama pants or something.
I'm him, it probably would be, considering it's made for a much taller, much bulkier person.
Well, yeah, but you know, I've been looking for a ferret kigurumi for years, man. I really want one, so yeah.
See, So yeah, and then we up, we get the resolution of it just being a TV show, and the actors are. I don't know if it's dementia or Alzheimer's they want to go with it, or it's just that they have they don't want the fame to end, and they just deluded themselves. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, that also seems weird, as we don't exactly know what, except we know that it started a while back. So it's not just like, well, they're old now, and now they can't keep their, because it sounds like they both kind of went nuts on the show.
Like, as soon as the show ended, they just kind of snapped.
Yeah, and that part of calming down Adam West's character was like building him a ferret cave underneath his house.
I think there's a line where Wade says that he spent his entire fortune recreating the set.
Yeah, something like that. But I don't know. The premise of the like, oh, it's just a TV show. I don't know. I didn't really like that twist.
Maybe if it was like if Fearless Ferret was a real superhero, but the joke being that he was like the lamest superhero ever, kind of turning because everyone thinks Batman is the coolest superhero ever, but turning it around saying, "Oh, the Ferret was a lame superhero. He on all of his, he never really did anything."
But to me, the entire twist just felt like we can't let Ron actually be the interesting and good character he is. Like, honestly, this show should have been called Ronstoppable. I'm sorry. It really, to me, it should. Kim is a much less interesting character to me because he can't do anything with perfect. It's why, Superman has never been my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what can you do with, like, he's perfect.
Yeah.
And you can't, you can kind of turn that into a flaw, like, well, he's perfectly kind, and therefore he wants to give the villain too much credit or whatever, but you can't really do anything internal flaw like that. And that's the way I feel about Kim in some ways, except that Kim does have flaws. The show doesn't want to admit that she does beyond, like, one episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, in one episode, it'll be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't make fun of your friend. And then in the next episode, she's back to making fun of her friend, Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't care so much about fashion. But in this episode, she still has, like, no, I'm a real superhero because my clothes are, like, fashionable and you've got a silly costume.
Well, she specifically says that her clothes come off the rack and it's not tights and capes.
Yeah, and I'm like, so? That makes you less cool. That makes you, like, you bought your
cargo pants and blue half sweater.
Yeah,
or black half sweater.
Or your ridiculously overly expensive green jacket that's kind of boring anyway. Like, I don't know. It's I kind of was like, how is that a burn to anybody with, like, more than the most shallow personality?
In this episode, even at the beginning, we kind of see that of Ron's dream to be a hero, where he kind of has this little daydream of Kim getting essentially Joker gassed at the beginning of the episode, and Ron has to do brain surgery to save her life.
Speaking of which, though, I mean, like, if you want some, not even childhood trauma, because I saw this in my, like, 20s, but, if you want some adulthood trauma, go watch Return of the Joker. Speaking of Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. That is that is dark. That's probably, like, the darkest Batman thing I've ever seen. Tim Burton and what's his face that did the Christian Bale movies, like, they just wish they could be that dark. That is some seriously messed up stuff. That's one of the, and then they tried to do the, like, R-rated Joker, animated there, and I saw that in theaters, and I was like, you know what, though? Return of the Joker is still, like, way darker and more gut punchy than this. So, and
we're talking. Let's not talk about that other Joker movie because we're only talking about animation today.
Oh yeah, no, just animation, and I haven't seen that movie yet anyway. So
neither have I.
Good.
So yeah, I mean, we do see this thing that Ron wants to kind of be a hero, and you kind of think that if he could have been the Fearless Ferret for real, even if it was just a TV show. At least he's trying to be.
But he actually does an okay job on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like he stands around and talks to people a little too much. He should have a little more mystery to him. But
that is another thing about Kim is that she has no secret identity. Like everyone knows who Kim Possible is.
Yeah.
That kind of that's another improbable thing about the show is that why doesn't the bad guys just go attack her at home or at school?
Because he didn't realize that was her dad until the.
But he could have still attacked her at school.
Yeah. But I don't know. This felt like another episode of like, let's crap on Ron. And I'm like, that's your one saving grace character, show. Stop treating him so bad.
Yeah.
I don't
Honestly,
know.
Ron is my favorite character in the show. I'm going to be honest. So that did kind of influence the episodes that I chose to kind of showcase Ron. And I'm guaranteed someone else is going to say, well, if you watch this episode, it shows Kim in a positive light and blah, blah, blah. And I understand that.
Yeah, but in all these episodes, the reason why I kind of am like, I wonder if that's true, though, that, well, if you watch a different episode, you'll see, is that her character was incredibly consistent in all the episodes we watched for this. And we watched episodes from the first 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty long span of time. They had time to grow the character if they wanted, and yet Kim in the 3rd season episode is the exact same Kim that's in the 1st season episode from my perspective. I don't see any character growth of like, oh, she's acting very differently in this season, And yeah, you can be like, well, they become boyfriend and girlfriend in season 4 or whatever. Okay, yeah, but I didn't see that, and I'm just talking about, at least over the episodes that I watched, she acts like exactly the same person.
I mean, I forgot to mention this, but we talked back in the first episode, we talked about how, in a way, Kim is kind of manipulative by using the puppy dog face against Ron.
Yeah, I did not like that either. It was kind of like that. I don't know. I really think that if this show was Ron Stoppable and his annoying, jealous friend, I would like this show a little better than I did. I'm not saying that I necessarily hated it, but like, I do have a rule where I tell people that I think that if the main character is the most interesting character in your show has a problem, because I am almost never attracted to the main character of a piece. I always find the supporting characters far more interesting. And I think it's because a lot of people want to do the like everyman character. It's like but the audience has to see themselves and, so they'll be a blank slate. But Kim is not a blank slate. She has a very definite personality. It's just not a personality I like. But Ron, I found myself loving eventually. Like once I got into the swing of him and kind of saw what he was like over the course of several episodes, I was really like, there's really good character here. He's got varied interests. He's got quite a lot of skills that are, it's like, well, Kim is the girl that can do anything, but like, I didn't really see her do that much. She would just kind of show up and kick people, which is a skill. I'm not saying it's not, but in the same course of those episodes, you see Ron like take on a costumed crime fighting persona and learn how to make realistic masks real enough to fool your old college buddies, and invent new food and be able to run a restaurant to peak efficiency. And,
Well, I do like that Ron kind of took the line for himself. I'm Ron Stubble. I can do anything. And really, he can.
yeah, I mean, that's what these 5 episodes showed me. And, we can debate whether or not you like specifically handpick them because it's your favorite character or not. But I'm not sure that you can only chalk it up to that, because it does seem like that's a running theme. Because in every episode, he's got some weird little quirk that he just happens to be good at that makes it, that makes the whole plan come together. I don't.
They call it the Ron factor. No, literally, isn't actually a thing in the show. They call it the Ron factor. That Ron is really the reason Kim is so good at what she does.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing. I thought that was a joke, but apparently that's a thing. So, it's very definitely there, even from the small amount of episodes that I watched. Let's get on to the next episode.
Next episode, season 2, episode 17. Go Team Go. Kim and Ron go to Go City to see the world's largest Bueno Nacho restaurant, but end up in a fight between local superhero Higo and his rival Aviarius. Kim tries to stop Aviarius from stealing Higo's powers and ends up with them herself. Aviarius then tries to steal the power of Higo's superhero group, Team Go, which are revealed to be Shigo's brothers, forcing Kim to recruit Shigo to get her brother's powers back. So we find out Shigo's origin in this story, that she used to be a superhero.
Yeah. Which makes her more interesting.
She's a superhero that willingly went to the side of evil.
Because it seems like evil treated her better.
Yeah, and she also, according to what Higo says, she found evil more interesting.
Yeah, which, fair.
Mm-hmm.
This actually answered a question that I had from the first episode, which is like, does that one chick have superpowers, or is that like a mechanical thing? Like, her hands just kind of glow. Like, are there superpowers in this world? Because the villain doesn't seem to have a superpower, but So this actually answered that, which was good.
Yeah, so it was never really established until this episode what Shigo was. Did she have superpowers, or did she have superpowered gloves that shot the energy? And this one kind of said that she is a superhero or a former superhero, and it's a very superhero themed origin. A meteor came from the sky and it gave us superpowers.
Yeah, it was the Lantern Corps, but all in one comet.
Yep. And let's give a little quick before we get into it. Let's talk about the guest star for this episode, Richard Horvitz as Aviarius.
Yeah.
Zim! And he's using the Zim voice. It is totally the Zim voice.
Yeah, it is, and it doesn't appear long enough for me. I would have liked more of that, because I found that character slightly more interesting than any of the Go family.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of by design. Is like they're just so into themselves and how great they are as heroes. And it's also a reason why you can understand why Shigo wanted to separate from her brothers. It's like they are so full of themselves that why is she around?
Well, yeah, they literally call her She-Go.
Yeah,
It's like, here's all of us. We have our distinct personalities, and that's the girl.
Yeah, usually in a superhero team, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
This is the strong guy. This is the fast guy. And then there's the girl.
Yeah. I don't like that. I like when Ron was like, yeah, I can totally see why she left the group. You guys are awful.
Yeah, you guys are awful people. You're not very good brothers.
So yeah, I'm okay with it. This was not my favorite episode, mostly because we're supposed to be invested in these people getting their superpowers back, but I'm like, why do I want the jerks to have superpowers?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the last thing you want is a jerk with superpowers.
Yeah.
You want the jerks to be powerless so that all they have is their ability to be jerks, and then you can avoid them and go about your life. You don't want the jerks to be able to, have super strength and stuff.
If it had been like, maybe if it was just Higo and Shigo as brother and sister, and you kind of do a Wonder Twins kind of thing, and then Higo has to actually figure out how to save the day without his powers, and Kim has to help him in that, and maybe it would have been a better episode. Higo would have been a better character.
Yeah, maybe, and I get that they're going for the, Superman kind of idea,
Mm-hmm.
but, Superman is at least nice. He's boring, but he's nice.
I think the whole point
is just such a ugh.
I think that's kind of the point. Like, we're not supposed to like Team Go. We're supposed to understand why Shigo turned bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're making evil a much more attractive proposition every second I'm around you.
In a way, yeah. Ron is kind of the audience surrogate for this episode. I totally get why she went bad.
Yeah.
And of course you have Migo, the egotist, and you have Wego, the twins, which not really creative names. And we don't even learn their real names. That's their names,
Yeah. I do like that Fred Savage was the voice of the twins.
Yes.
Another really cool guest star there. I have so little to say about this episode because it's good for backstory on her, but honestly, I feel like that backstory could have been like one line in a more interesting. Because honestly, it's basically one line here. It's like you were awful brothers and was more interesting and nicer to me, so bye.
Although I have to give credit to Shigo, she handles her brother's powers better than they do.
Yeah, that is true.
Because there's the big scene, for those of you who haven't seen it, there's a scene where Shigo ends up with all of her brother's powers plus her own, and she just beats everybody with it. And it's just, why does she need her brothers to begin with?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is the ending is kind of ambiguous. Like, did Shigo allow herself to be defeated so just to give her brothers back their powers, or was she genuinely defeated?
Yeah, and I like that ambiguity.
Even Draken in the episode kind of mentions, "Oh, you went soft because they're your brothers," and she just leaves them hanging out of the end of the giant robot.
Yeah.
I'm evil. I'm going to just pretty much near kill you if you even suggest that I'm going soft.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ambiguity of, did Shigo generally get defeated, or did she decide to just help her brothers out? It's a nice little. She's still bad, but maybe she does have a soft spot for her family, as annoying as they are.
Yeah. And I liked that. But that's kind of, her part was good. Ron gets the one really good line as the audience surrogate there. Everything else I kind of was, I did like Ron being upset that Higo's taco place didn't have the Nako.
Yeah, how you said, the Nako didn't test well. What do you mean it didn't test well? It's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a personal thing, because we find out, he created the Nako. So for this one restaurant, the biggest restaurant of them all, to not carry it, he's going to take it personally.
Yeah. So I did like that one callback to the Nako and the creation of it. But overall, I didn't like the main plot of this episode. Some of the side stuff I liked, but the main plot was kind of boring to me.
All right, fair enough. Let's go to our last episode going forward, season 3, Episode 7, Rappin' Draken. Ron has slacked off on his creative writing assignment, which is due soon, so he decides to write about how he got Rufus. Meanwhile, Dr. Draken's latest scheme is to sell brainwashing shampoo, but no one buys it. After finding out people buy products mentioned in rap songs, Draken eventually goes on a TV talent show to do his own rap song about his own shampoo so people can buy it. Yes, this is a crazy episode, and it's one of my favorites.
It's not that crazy. It's a Pinky and the Brain episode.
Yeah.
This is the Pinky and the Brain episode where the brain decides that he needs to become Bubba Brain. If you're a country star, people will do whatever you say. It's that, but now the big music genre is rap.
Yeah.
It's just that same plot. So
this whole episode surrounds a parody of American Idol, complete with parody of the host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Ryan Seacrest too, but Simon Cowell they talk about a lot.
Yeah.
So I liked this episode better, even though like I immediately was like, isn't that just Pinky and the Brain plot? It was still like a decently done Pinky and the Brain plot. You know, I mean, it was pretty good for what it was. I can see if I'd have heard it when I was younger that at least in context, because like I said, I think somebody sent me a YouTube video at some point. But you know, if I'd have heard that song at a much more formative age, I think I would have, like, you know, I would be humming it. I did like John DiMaggio trying to rap and everything in this as the character. That was a really good performance.
I mean, John DiMaggio, that voice, especially him trying to rap and stay in character.
Yeah, Draken does go a bit Bender quite frequently.
Coming up here, you say. That's totally Bender's voice.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I'm not faulting him or saying it's a bad performance, but occasionally it's one of those things where I think he was just, because this was the time when he was still doing Bender as well, as like his primary job. So I can see it, you know, leaking in there a little bit, but you know, this I liked I'm not saying it was like, you know, specifically deep or unique commentary, but I did like the commentary on the talent shows and the, you know, when they have the woman who's the awful singer or whatever. And he was like, why are people listening to this? It's awful. And she goes, well, she's going to be like the most famous person in the world tomorrow.
Yeah. And
which is a good critique of, like, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? We're not necessarily going to tell you, but it's something for you to think about, kids. Is it right that she's such a horrible singer and yet she's so famous? Or, you know.
Yeah.
With the implication being that she's only famous because people are going to be making fun of her tomorrow.
Fame is fame, I suppose. Which is another reason why Draken goes on the show, because even if he gets laughed at, well, people will recognize him and talk about him and buy the brainwashing shampoo.
Yeah, and to be honest, though, he gets the short end of that. In the same way that, you know, that the woman we saw on the TV before him is going to get the short end of that too.
Yeah.
You know, you go into it thinking, well, any fame is any fame, and I can capitalize it on it, whether it's good or bad, at the start. And usually that's not true. It really takes a special kind of person to capitalize on initially negative fame and grow that into something. The thing is that you can, with the, the hindsight of 2020, you can look back at those people, because that's very obviously supposed to be like William Hung and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like, he seems okay and stable now, but that wasn't an entirely uphill, climb for him. I mean, there was, and now we're seeing things like Rebecca Black, who had the infamous song Friday a few years ago on YouTube. And when she was a little kid, I mean, she was like, what, the 14 or something. And she became like one of the most hated people in the nation. And just now, within the last like 6 months or so of recording this, she's really started to find her footing again and release creatively again. And so a lot of people, and I'll give the show all the credit in the world for pointing this out, is that a lot of people kind of go the like, well, it doesn't matter whether I'm loved or hated, at least they'll be talking about me. And there's the idea that no publicity is bad publicity. But in reality, that is not the way it works out. And bad publicity absolutely can be bad publicity. And it absolutely can, if not completely ruin your life, make it truly awful for a period of time.
Especially when you have one of these people being a known supervillain.
That is true. I mean, he's not an unknown entity going into this.
Yeah, people at least of some level know of him. May not know what he looks like, but they know of him.
Yeah. At least Brain was an unknown lab rat who even then went to great lengths to disguise who he was. Draken was just like, I'll have kind of a rap name, but other than that, I won't disguise who I am.
And his entire song is about himself being Dr. Draken.
Yeah.
And again, references back to earlier seasons of the origin we saw with the BBs.
Yeah. I like a callback. I like an appropriately placed callback to your own continuity. This was a fun one, and the songs were cute. I'm not sure that it's going to be above. It's not my favorite episode, but is probably second favorite maybe.
At least in terms of
the ones I watched.
Of the ones he's watching, even as a Terry on reality television.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of has a good moral. It also has the moral of maybe you shouldn't wait to do your
homework
papers until the last minute, except that kind of doesn't work out very well because he still gets a pretty good grade.
So, I mean, let's put this in perspective. What if it was like you and you have to perform a song based on your thesis?
I could do that very easily. My thesis was Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman and personifications of death in literature. It would be a depressing song, but I absolutely could write that song in about 20 minutes.
But this is Ron straight up reading his paper, so apparently he wrote it as a rap song.
I've had students do weirder things, honestly.
And Kim kind of calls him on it in the episode. Oh, have a holler from Ron? I wanted to sound like me.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought this was a pretty solid episode.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who's, I mean, like I said, I got these 5 episodes. That is my entire experience so far of the world that they're setting up here. But I really did think that this was a solid one. It's got a decent enough moral. The characters act like fairly reasonable people within a world where you have superheroes and supervillains.
Mm-hmm.
And the storyline kept my interest and all that other kind of stuff. And also, Kim was probably at her most likable, I think, of any of the episodes, because she wasn't so much being a jerk to Ron here as she was just going like, dude, stop being a procrastinator. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
she
it's
said,
just like, stop procrastinating.
I finished my paper 3 weeks ago. Why haven't you finished yours yet? And
yeah,
we see Ron kind of lazing off, trying to balance a spoon on his nose, and that's just, I think that's kind of relatable, at least from me. It's just wasting time. Oh crap! I gotta write this thing.
Yeah, I think everybody's been there. I mean, at least once, everybody's had that project that they forgot about, or they really didn't want to do it, or whatever. That at the last minute you have to go like, well, it's now or never.
And
so
it worked
relatable.
out for him. It worked out for him. May not work out for everybody else, but it worked out for Ron.
Yeah. There is absolutely a particular type of person that can be creative on that level and get a good grade on something like that under stress. Like that in a very, very short amount of time.
Some people perform well under stress, and I guess Ron can do that.
I am not suggesting that as a way to live your life.
No, it's not for everybody.
But there are some people who do have that in them. It should never be counted on. If you want wise words from teacher here, Kim is by far the person you want to emulate in that situation. But yeah, I think this was the episode where I liked Kim the most, because she's just reasonable here. She's just being the common sense friend.
Yeah.
Do
your homework.
Yeah, do your homework. That's really what you need. So let's wrap up this dive into the series. Rather shallow dive.
Yeah, shallow dive, but overall thoughts on Kim Possible? Is it at least passable? Is it Kim Passable?
Yeah, it gets a stamp of Kim Passable. I can see why this would be appealing to people.
Mm-hmm.
I am not sure it will ever be one of my personal favorite shows. Mm-hmm. It's a thing that I would probably, it's one of those you'd watch if it was on, but I'm not sure I'd go out of my way. I don't really have the urge to like completely binge everything from this right now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's different episodes that would make me want to do that. I don't know. But you've seen all the episodes. I trust your judgment in
mm-hmm.
giving me a reasonable taste
mm-hmm.
of the series. I think if your age, it would. I think that's the difference. Is you watched it when it was first coming out.
Yeah, I watched this 20 years ago, so.
Yeah, and I think 20 years ago this would have been a little more interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, like I said, one of their big backstory episodes was done much better by a different show.
Mm.
One of their, my second favorite episode here was done kind of better by a show that came before it. I mean, Pinky and the Brain did that, musical thing already. To be honest, even my favorite episode, which was a parody of a different show,
mm-hmm.
and it was also a parody that Adam West had done before better, because they did this on Batman the Animated Series.
Oh yeah, the Grey Ghost.
Yeah, the Grey Ghost. It was granted it wasn't done for comedy in that situation, but like I kind of wanted to be like, but I've seen Adam West do this before. Mm-hmm. And another show beat them to that, like, let's get Adam West to play a character who's Batman.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's really weird because even when it did a thing seemingly first, like in the case of the robots and the college friends and stuff from Venture Brothers, it didn't do it best. So I don't know. It's Kim potential maybe for me. Like
Mhm.
I think if they ever did a reboot and fleshed out some stuff and kind of modernized it
There is
again
a
or
live
whatever.
action movie reboot. I actually watched that.
How did you find that? Just what's your short take on that?
Short take on the Kim Possible live action movie. It There are things that don't work when translating from animation to live action. That movie is it. It's okay. It's pretty much Spy Kids with Kim Possible characters, which also came out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, if this movie came out 20 years ago, like the series, it would have been great. But like I said, animation doesn't always translate well to live action, and they try to remain as faithful to the animation as they can.
Mm,
Doesn't always work. It doesn't. It's
yeah.
okay, but no, not as terrible as I've heard it being. But it's not what it needs to be. No.
Yeah. So let's ask the big question from you since this was a rewatch.
Mhm.
Is it still magical for you having seen it?
I would say yes. And if you have young kids that are like the TVY7 age, the 7 to 10 age, whether it's a boy or a girl, I would just say give it a shot. Introduce the kids to the show. If they like it, go through the whole season. Not like you're doing anything else right now. But
Yeah,
if
and even though it didn't really like speak to me deeply or anything, there's nothing harmful about the show, and I can see it being very entertaining to the target age group.
Mhm.
It's always good for kids of any gender to see a reasonable female character and also the mom. If we're going to talk about strong female characters or whatever in that, I kind of hate that term, but in that sense, I think the mom is a really interesting character from that perspective. And honestly, I think Ron is a very good role model
Mhm.
for kids. Like he's loyal, he's resourceful, he's self-sacrificing, but not too much. Uh, he's funny, he's genuinely kind, he likes animals. I mean, it seems to be a well-rounded kid there. So you could do worse if you're trying to give your kids a character to grow up like.
unstoppable, loyal to a fault,
Yeah.
to his own detriment in some cases.
Yeah, I kind of wish he wasn't loyal to his own detriment, but most of the other stuff I like.
So yeah,
So,
that's Kim Possible. I would definitely recommend it again. If you have if you've seen the show before, watch it again. If you got kids, give it a shot. And if give it a shot and see what happens. If they like it, great. If they don't, at least you tried. So that's all we could say about Kim Possible. What do we do now? Where do we go? This is usually the time of year where they start releasing those big blockbusters, right? This is the time.
yeah,
But
I mean,
since we don't have that option right now, uh, I think it's time we go and kind of watch a blockbuster just to cleanse that, just to satisfy that itch of a blockbuster. And I think it's time. We've done this or not. This is the 20th episode of our show.
oh goodness,
Yes, this is 20 episodes.
we're ancient now.
I know. I think for our 21st legal drinking age episode, now it's funny now, because of what we're going to watch. Let's dive into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And not just dive in, let's start at the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The one that started it all, Iron Man.
Bah, 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 bah. So we're gonna grab a drink, but hopefully not to Tony's excess.
No.
And we're gonna go slightly more adult in tone than we have been with most of these movies.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of the highest target age range. Maybe Tron, but I think that was still meant to appeal mostly to teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man deals with some quite adult themes in it.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see. We'll go back now that we're living in a post Endgame world. Let's go back to where it all started and see if it's as good as we remember.
Yep. So next week, guys, Iron Man, and that's all we can say about that. So again, thanks guys for listening. If you want to give your own opinion on Kim Possible to us, you can Facebook us or tweet us. If you want to reach us, if you want to message us, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're not doing anything now. And what else you got going on, huh? Nah. And also, as always, if you want to request anything, we've been doing a few requests, some from our guests and some from people outside. But if you've got anything you want to request, we are always open to anything. If Disney owns it, we'll consider it.
Yes.
So. But we'll see you next week. Stay safe, stay inside, and go watch some Kim Possible.
Booyah!
Booyah!
Thank you for listening to Rewatching the Magic. We invite you to keep the magic going by joining the conversation online. Find us on Facebook at Rewatching the Magic, on Twitter at Rewatch the Magic, and of course, find all new episodes at rewatchingthemagic.podbean.com. Until next time, remember, the magic is for everyone. It only stops if you let it.